for tonight. We have the next slide. It is welcomes to PCOM Quezon City Chapter. Let's introduce our speaker for tonight. Next slide. Our speaker for tonight is the Assistant Secretary for Regional Operations, Labor Standards and Special Concerns, Department of Labor and Employment, and concurrently the Director of our Bureau of Working Conditions. It is a great pleasure and honor to introduce ASEC Maria Teresita S. Cucueco.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for the invite. I'm really, hello.
Hello, good evening, Dr. Asek.
Yes, can you hear me?
Asek,
yes. Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay,
Is it clear?
It is clear, Dr. Yes, malinaw naman.
Meron din akong, may sinasabayan akong meeting ngayon, but that's okay. Anyway.
No problema, Dr. Ready na po
I'm fine. Yes, we're good. So, I'm glad that you are still interested in looking at actually non-health issue, but on a labor issue. And this is really addressing what is very important now for the country and for the economy. Because, syempre, for DOLE, we do have to look at these issues of employment preservation. And we know that with this pandemic, business has been hurt bad. And we are not talking just of the small, even the large. And all sectors were really affected. And that is why the DOLE has to, just to ensure that we continue having more workers go back to work, and which is also, it's something we wish for, and I think all of us do wish for. We had to release a series of advisories to assist and the economy to revive. During COVID, we had we had strategies to assist small business. We had the CAMP, the COVID Assistance Measures Program, where those who had temporary closure or flexible work arrangements where income was reduced was given, and we already saw numbers of workers being affected. So with that, let me now start, so that this is really going to be very short, but it's going to, okay. To start with our presentation. So this is the advisory, Labor Advisory 17 on the guidelines on employment preservation upon resumption of business. Next slide, please. So for the coverage of this advisory, it of course shall, before the DOLE, it's related to the private sector, and meaning it shall apply to employers and employees regardless of employment status in the private sector, meaning whether regular, contractual, probationary. So these shall apply to all who are now allowed to resume business operations under the quarantine, any quarantine arrangement. So for enhanced, remember there are essential services that were allowed to operate, then the modified enhanced where there were more business that were allowed, and then of course there's more now in the general community quarantine, and even more as we are faced with a modified general community quarantine where many of the regions are now in. Next, please. Which is true, sir. I agree. Okay, so first, it is important, and for all enterprises to follow the minimum public health standards. And this, of course, we refer here to the DOH as the of course, the national agency providing all of these minimum public health standards, then going to our specific sector, which is of course the DOLE DTI interim guidelines. And again, like I have often said, our guidelines are aligned to the DOH. And because this is also going to fall into several sectors, like even for construction, all the minimum public health standards for construction should also be followed or complied with as well. Next, please. So all these health standards by the different sectors should be complied with first and foremost. Now, what are these type of flexible working arrangements? First, remember when COVID, when we had to start doing the lockdowns or the strict lockdowns, it was even declared by the president, but work from home will be the first working strategy for many of the businesses. And again, we will pick up from there. The work from home or the telecommuting work arrangement, a law has been passed even in 2018, and the IRR, which is the Department Order number 202, was already issued. And this is the work from home arrangement, which means we already, even before COVID, work from home, telecommuting has been an arrangement that we have always allowed and even encouraged companies to use, because it gives them, it gives workers and employers an agreement, but there should be an agreement on what is the best type of, if they can do this type of work, then this kinds of work arrangement should really be looked into by both the employers and the workers. So it's there. What is important in this DO202 and the law of telecommuting is that it is voluntary. At this point, it is a voluntary agreement. There should be an agreement, and there should be no diminution of benefits. For those, because you understand that when work from home, this telecommuting was started, the situation here is there is work in the office, traditional workplace, which can then be done at home. And that's why you're just transferring it, which means you're still going to do 8 hours of work, and you will be paid for 8 hours of work. If you will do overtime, you will be given overtime, because that is also what you are going to receive anyway in your traditional type of work. And if you have other benefits, then there will also be some benefits, but that is not saying all. Remember, if in your traditional work you had a uniform allowance, if you're doing telecommuting or work from home, then this may not be a benefit that might be given to you, but it may be there might be other equivalences in terms of benefits that would be given to the worker. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so what are these other alternative work schemes? Because companies are just starting now and economies have really suffered. So we are really looking at companies that cannot bring in as much workers. And remember, what is the minimum public health standards? It is, if you are in ECQ or modified ECQ, it's still a skeletal type of workforce, because you have, and this is whether, even if it's GCQ, you will still have to factor in physical distancing. So if there is physical distancing, you really might have to reduce your workforce, meaning then how will you, what are the arrangements so that you can still bring in an appropriate number of workers? You might be looking at transferring employees to another branch. You might want to assign employees to other functions or position in another branch or outlet of the same employers. Or you might even look at reduction of normal work days per week, which means, because of budgetary constraints, instead of having them work at 5 days, it's now at 3 days, because there is truly the no work, no pay type of basis. And this is just to assure workers that if they work, they will be paid. And you're also trying to extend it to more workers so that there will still be more workers to get some income. Job rotation is also another working arrangement where we will alternately provide workers with work within the work week or within the month, which means, like, if you are trying to look at physical distancing, you can have staggered work hours so that, you don't fill everyone in at a certain shift. You might have 50% in the morning, 50% in the afternoon, and that will give you ample time for physical distancing as well. Now, if there will be partial closure of establishments where some units or departments, you might want to have some units still continuing while you are going to close others, again, because of economy, which means to say you are still having employees going to work, not all, but at least you are trying to put in a number of employees having an income. And of course, there's other feasible work arrangements, and now this is really up to companies on what other type of work arrangements, looking at specific peculiarities. So all flexible work arrangements provided for in previous issuances, consistent with this labor advisory. There's also labor advisory number 9, which also looks at work arrangements may be adopted. And the above alternate work schemes that I have mentioned are temporary and in nature, and shall only be used until the public health crisis, and adopted as long as the public health crisis exists. Okay. Next. On wages and wage-related benefits, employees may agree voluntarily and in writing to temporarily adjust employees' wage and wage-related benefits as provided for in existing employment contracts or company policy collective bargain arrangements, and the adjustments in wage and or wage-related benefits shall not exceed 6 months or the period agreed upon the CBA. After such period, the employers shall review. I have to get something clear with you all. Wages are minimum wage. However, if you only work 3 times per week, you will get the wages of 3 days per week. So you cannot, you do not expect that you will only work 3 days, you will be paid 5 days. No, but your wages, the computation will be based on the minimum wage. So the wage-related benefit is what may be negotiated. So that, considering the difficulty and the economy, wage-related benefits, as long as they're agreed in writing by both employers, this may really look in, you might have to look at this as the employees will negotiate. But again, we are not reducing wages here. It will be the minimum wage, but you are reducing hours, you might be reducing days, and then the computations will start. But it is still, your basis will be the minimum wage. Next, please. Next. So if there is separation, again, this has been happening due to authorized. And authorized causes are, these are redundancy, machineries that are added, or because of economic difficulties, the workers here, because there are just causes and you will not have separation pay if it's because of a just cause, but for authorized cause, you shall be entitled to the final pay pursuant to, and we issued here, because that pursuant to labor advisory number 6 means your separation pay should be given within 30 days after separation from the company. Next slide, please. So employers shall report these alternative working arrangements and submit the copy of agreements that's pursuant to the sections I have mentioned earlier, and accomplish an establishment termination report if they're closing to the DOLE regional office having jurisdiction, and all reporting requirements shall be submitted to the Bureau of Working Conditions. A Labor Advisory 17-A was issued following this, and that is the reporting form. I did not discuss it anymore because it's just very specific that it is now on a reporting form that will be used by employers once they will pursue this alternative work arrangement. Even if you will report these alternative, you still need the agreement. It is really an agreement between the workers and it has to be attached. This is actually for the benefit of both workers and employers. Next, please. So, that ends my presentation on Labor Advisory 17. And I hope I was able to share with you the salient points of this advisory. So now I think we will move to another advisory, which is a consequence or will have bearing also on Labor Advisory 17. This is Labor Advisory 18, which is the cost of the COVID-19 prevention and control measures. Next slide, please. So again, as in Labor Advisory 17, this applies to all employers, contractors, subcontractors in the private sector. Remember, here we're now talking of costs. And COVID-19 costs are, especially for the workplaces, it can truly amount to a cost that is now that is being very contentious between principals and contractors. Next, please. However, we try to, in this labor advisory, make it clear that employers shall shoulder the cost of COVID-19 prevention control measures such as but not limited to the following. So we're using the term here employer. And here, if there is cost for testing, disinfection facilities, hand sanitizers, personal protective equipment, signages, proper orientation and training and other IEC, these are all going to be borne by the employer. Next, please. In case of contracts for construction projects and for security, janitorial, and other services, so these are now with contracts, the cost of COVID-19 prevention control measures shall be borne by the principal or the clients of the construction or service contractor. Service contractor, the security, janitorial, these are service contractors. So the cost will be borne by the principal. So if you are a contractor and you are also an employer, remember you might be bearing costs also for your employees. However, it is very specific in the advisory that no cost related to the COVID-19 measures shall be charged to the workers. We have heard of many companies that have charged testing to the workers. It is not allowed. Next, please. The DOLE regional offices shall provide appropriate assistance to all employers and contractors or subcontractors to facilitate compliance with DTI DOLE joint guidelines and DPWH. Because again, if the issue of cost is really difficult, and if we can assist, not by subsidies, because again, the government really has no more money at this time, but in seeing how we can also have agreements between principal and contractors, maybe this is where we can also assist both the principals, contractors. Next, please. So that's it. Again, like I said, these are very short presentation, but for companies, this has been of actually, for employers, for these issuances have also raised many concerns. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and thank you for listening.
Okay. Thank you, Asek Nas. I-recap ko lang yung ibang mga ano, no? Before we start with our Q&A, titingnan lang po natin po, Asek, kung sino yung mga naging guest natin, yung mga anong industries po, no? Through our poll, no? Okay lang po ba yun?
Okay, sure, please.
Okay. Okay, Easy, patingin nga ng mga poll natin. Makikita ba dito? Please share. Hello? May mga sumagot ba sa survey prior to the Zoominar? Meron tayong inilabas na mga pang-poll. Easy? Okay. Kung makikita po natin, no? Dito sa ating industry sector, anong company belong? Malaki dito ang, sige, 41% po ang mga guests natin tonight is from healthcare. There's 18% naman po from IT, BPO, and ano ba ito? Services, no? Other services similar to it. 5% from the energy, 13% po from others. No? Ano kaya itong mga others? There's 15% from manufacturing. You have 3% from construction, another 3% from banking and finance, 3% po from retail, and none po sa agriculture, automotive, and travel and tourism. So, mataas talaga yung percentage natin for the healthcare. Okay, another one here is, how many workers do you have in your company? So, ito po, no? Dito sa ating survey, it is high as 5,000. Meron dito, no? 18%. Meron din dito na nasagot na meron silang workforce na nasa 10,000, 5%. No? Marami din pala, no? But mostly, nasa median siguro tayo mga around 500 to 5,000 up to 10,000 po yung mga workers natin. Okay? Alright. With the Q&A, meron mga tanong. Ito lang po, no? Okay. Okay. Asset test, are you ready for the question and answer? Ayan na. Ang most exciting. Ito na po.
Sige, please. Okay. Yeah.
Are there plans of amending the Telecommuting Act or its IRR to cover the cost of work from home setup? May plano po ba?
Teka muna. Can I, again? Yeah, cost of the
Okay.
work from home. Okay.
Yes.
Tama, I saw the question now. It's true. It's really based on the arrangement. Now, I think many the complaints now because of the work from home is that one, electricity is really very high, and we have heard now that that's the reason why even for BPOs the workers would like to go back to work is because because of this cost, electricity, the internet, and we still have to it's really going to be an agreement between the employers and the workers because it's so hard to mandate, especially at this point. But we can study this, we can consult, of course, with the employers and the workers group to see how best we can respond to this. I will bring it up for the other costs from work from home because it is now really becoming an issue.
Yes. Thank you, Asek. Yes, another question. During this time of pandemic crisis, are the companies required to do the APE, WEM, are they biological monitoring, drug test, etc.?
We have been having queries on this. If
Yes.
you, number one, we are trying, the minimum public health standards, of course, no physical distancing, try to reduce contact between and among people. Now, if you do APE, number one, there is no physical distance. You're not going to, you definitely, and that's why we limit it to, if, in hospital settings, if you really have to approach a patient. But for the APEs, can we just, or if it has not yet been done, you might look at a date to postpone this when this can be done. But you can also, so we have said, in those who have asked us might want to postpone this, but for laboratory examinations, and if here you're going to send them to hospitals or you're going to send a laboratory to your workplace, how can you best assure? It's really up to you as physicians. You are physicians, and try to see that the arrangement is safe. So if you are assured of that, then why not? But if not, then you might want to consider another date or postponing it.
Okay. How about, Doctor, how about the submission of OSH reports?
On the OSH, we're trying to put online, the WAIR, but the WAIR, we have some problems with that now because of privacy issues. So we're putting that down actually as I speak, because in attending the meeting, the WAIR, we're just fixing it so you can submit it online. Other forms, we actually we have already issued a DOLE an order where we have suspended all of this for now until we come up with the next order or the next issuance. We're looking at, but now it is suspended.
Okay.
That's DOLE TO 213 if I'm not mistaken.
ASEC, what if companies, although we have mandates no, na employers should be shouldering at least the minimum health standard, no? Paano po kapag hindi yan ginagawa? Kanino po pwede naming i-report? Hindi sila
Report nyo
nagpo-provide
sa
ng
DOLE. Report nyo sa DOLE. Kasi, remember, these are, it's not just DOLE now. It is now even the LGUs. If it is the LGUs, be scared because LGUs close companies left and right. DOLE, that's why, diba, sinabi namin sa guidelines, we will try to assist you the best way we could. But once the LGUs enter, sometimes that's why we're very now, even with our standards, so that we're trying to tell the LGU we'll help them first. Because once the LGU sees that you're not going to comply, and we are mandated to report to the LGUs, they can close. And they have been this. And this has been also becoming a concern, and we are trying to address that as well. So please do not let us, and do not let your doctors report to the LGUs as quickly. Otherwise, closure is really something you have, and this is what we do not want to happen.
Okay, thank you for answering that question. Another one here is, how can DOLE assist with the health permits needed per municipality, wherein the APP is also being used for municipal health permits? So, kaya po kayong kumuha kasi ng APP, kaso, pero kailangan
maybe
po,
you can, actually, we also had that query, but that LGUs required it. It is also we will try to work with them, but if we cannot, that's why we're asking you, please find a safe way to do this, because how far are they requesting in terms of the annual physical examination, or is it just laboratory examinations, or can you just say that we will postpone it up to this time, and is that acceptable to them? So we leave it because the mandate of the LGUs is now really totally different, and we are now just going to try to collaborate with them.
Okay. Thank you for that answering of the question. Ito na naman po isa pa. Is there a retention period for the health lists that workers submit
Can I, wait,
daily?
pwedeng sandali lang ha? Can I just look at another meeting? I'll go back to you in 2 minutes. Sandali lang.
Alright. Sige lang po, ASEC. Ngayon, busy si ASEC. It's okay. Kung meron pa kayong mga tanong, no, yung ating mga listeners dito sa webinar, ang ating mga kasama, you just type it on our chat box kung may mga tanong pa kayo. To recap, no, we've talked about, wait lang. Okay. Ang napag-usapan natin tonight is the guidelines on the cause of COVID-19 prevention, control, and measures. We're in and explain ni ASEC test on how Hello?
Okay, yes, I'm okay. I'm fine na. Sige, let's go.
Alright, nag-recap lang ako ng konti.
Oo, sige, go.
No worries, sinabi ko lang po na yung mga napag-usapan natin sa the guidelines on the cause of COVID prevention, control, and measures. Ito yung labor advisory. Now, ito po, continue ko lang po ang ating Q&A, okay? So, ito po yung first of the second last question po. Will DOLE labor inspectors look for historical questionnaires when they conduct inspection?
Hindi. Historical questionnaire. Like, what is a historical questionnaire? Historical? Historical ba talaga? Ano yun?
Ano po, past events.
Baka yung symptom questionnaire na everyday. Ganun ba yun?
Yes.
Maybe that they'll just be given a proof that they are asking this symptom questionnaire. That would be good enough. or else kasi, pero ang ano nga din namin to the inspectors, do not be scared of our inspectors. Our inspectors are, but then if they say, what are you doing to check your symptoms, you can show them actually, kasi we have apps, but it is removed right away. When you just show them how it's being done, they'll be fine. So we really leave it up to you. But go back to the history, di naman siguro, di na kami.
Okay, so na tayo sa companies naman. Kasi, will companies cover cost for RT-PCR testing if exposure is suspected to have occurred in the workplace? Sino po bang sasagot dapat ng RT-PCR? Mag-shoulder o kasi
dapat di ba sinabi ko namin, in the cost of including testing, it is going to be the owner.
Alright, thank you so much for clearing that up. Even yung diba, lahat no, ulitin ko po yung sinabi po, no, from the PPE and everything, dapat lahat ng empleyado po.
The employer yon.
Yes. Alright. Para hindi namin kunin ng much of your time, Asek, maraming salamat.
Thank you.
Po.
Thank you. Thank you. Kasi meron pa. I'm really, wait, but before I leave, if you have any questions, please post it in the BWC website or write to us because we really are answering your queries naman eh. And those that you've asked, we already encountered that in questions. So thank you, and please send your bwcsecretary@gmail.com. Thank you very much.
Po, salamat po, Asek, for giving us your time and gracing us with your presence again. Last words pa po, Asek. Meron po kayong pwedeng sabihin, mabatiin.
Wala na. Thank you very much. I think I have another really important matter to attend to.
Okay.
Thank you. Until the next time. Pasensya na talaga ulit.
No worries.
Okay. Thank you.
Po, no? To close this webinar, we will have our PCOM Chapter QC President, no? Dr. Catherine.
Hello.
Catherine.
Is my audio okay? Is my audio okay? Anyway, thank you, Dr. Ku, for that introduction. To Assistant Secretary Cucueco, thank you very much for gracing our Kapihang for the 4th time this year. Para sa kaalaman ng lahat, since Kapihang OH started, Assistant Secretary Cucueco has been with us on giving us updates on occupational safety and health policies. Maraming salamat po sa walang sawang pagpuno sa aming kaalaman para lamang mapanatiling ligtas at malusog ang ating manggagawang Filipino. To my fellow occupational health physician and occupational medicine specialist, we hope you have learned a lot from this Kapihang OH. To the webinar team headed by Dr. Isabel Escobillo, congratulations hanggang sa susunod na kabanata ng ating Kapihang OH this year. To our partners and fellow advocates of occupational safety and health who are with us right now, thank you and looking forward to a more meaningful collaboration in the near future. Mula sa inyong lingkod, laging pagkatandaan, dito po sa PCOM Quezon City Chapter, ligtas ang may alam, malusog ang maalam. Yan ang alagang PCOM Quezon City Chapter. Salamat po at magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Tora po, the floor is now yours.
Okay, maraming salamat po, our QC Chapter President, Dr. Catherine Arriaga. To everyone, maraming salamat po sa pag-unlak sa amin na nandito po kayo sa amin sa Zoominar. Thank you for your time, and again, I hope we will see you again to our next OH Kapihang webinar. This is your host, your Public Relations Officer for Quezon City Chapter, Dr. Margo Venuscu, signing off. Maraming salamat ulit. With PCOM QC, we care.